Thanks for joining us here at 5. I'm John Adams. Today, Representative Maxine Dexter hosted a town hall at Centennial High School in Gresham. Our Celine Stevens was there and spoke with the representative before the town hall and is here now with us with more. Celine, you say it was a pretty big turnout out there.
John, correct. The gym in the town hall was reached over capacity with over 1,000 people attending. And now Representative Maxine Dexter, who covers Oregon's 3rd Congressional District, took questions from the public and spoke about everything, ranging from concerns about Russia, Elon Musk, and even a potential government shutdown.
I'm terrified of what my future is going to be because it's so uncertain and it's so up in the air.
Representative Maxine Dexter fielded questions from the public Saturday during a town hall at Centennial High School. Over 1,000 people getting the opportunity to hear her discuss the Trump administration, Russia, Elon Musk and Doge, and more.
The world is upside down right now. The fact that we are aligning ourselves with North Korea and Russia over our allies in NATO and Ukraine.
This one day after President Donald Trump's and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's heated meeting in the Oval Office.
You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
Have you said thank you once this entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you?
Dexter addressing the possibility of a government shutdown, reminding people it would not be a good thing.
The courts aren't funded, and ICE and Homeland Security could be. And that feels like a very dangerous situation right now. So want to really help people understand that us shutting down the government should not be seen as a win right now.
Dexter also acknowledging concerns about what Democrats are doing to combat the Trump administration's latest moves and breaking it down.
The courts are really where we can check the executive power that's being unauthorized or illegally and unconstitutionally utilized. As a party, the Stop Musk Act is my first bill. We've signed on to many, whether it's trying to create a path for dreamers or it's protecting the EPA.
Those in attendance of all ages expressing their concerns for the state of the country.
What we are seeing in our country is nothing less than a slide into a full-on autocracy. And that is something that goes against every value that I was raised with.
I feel like I don't know what I'm walking into. I don't know what's going to happen to my life. I don't know, like, when I enter the workforce, am I even going to be able to get a job? Or am I just going to be, like, stuck?
Dexter also says that she hopes to have more town halls in the future. The deadline to avoid a partial government shutdown is on March 14th. John?
Our Celine Stevens tonight. Thank you, Celine. We heard from a local group yesterday after that contentious meeting between Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, President Donald Trump, and Vice President J.D. Vance. The Friday meeting in the Oval Office, meant to bring Ukraine closer to ending its war with Russia, devolved into a shouting match. A member of Dawn, a local group striving to protect and assist Ukrainians, says while she expected the meeting to be tense, she didn't expect this kind of interaction in front of cameras.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. But right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
Politicians like Senator Lindsey Graham applauded Trump and Vance for, quote, standing up for America.
We want to be helpful. What I saw in the Oval Office was disrespectful, and I don't know if we can ever do business with Zelensky again.
Zelensky left the White House after President Trump called off signing a deal that would have given the U.S. access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals. Happening overnight, a federal judge in Seattle halted President Trump's executive order blocking gender-affirming care for minors. Washington's Attorney General asked for a preliminary injunction, which has now been granted. The temporary restraining order that was in place was set to expire this morning. This means gender-affirming care for minors can continue while the lawsuit plays out through the courts. Attorneys for the Trump administration say the president's order simply makes sure agencies receiving federal grant money are operating within the law. They called the lawsuit to block it premature. Protest erupted after the Tumwater School Board in Washington voted to ban transgender girls from participating in girls' sports Thursday night. The decision comes just weeks after the district was the subject of a civil rights complaint. Jim Nelson says the vote now leads to a potential recall effort.
The civil rights complaint was made by the family of a Tumwater High School girls basketball player who protested the participation of a trans player from Shelton in a game at Tumwater. It's unclear if that alone led to this proposal because none of the board members addressed it specifically.
How would you feel if while eating
A packed house at Thursday's Tumwater School Board meeting. The board considering a ban on transgender girls playing girls' sports. Among the many public speakers, nobody spoke in favor of the policy.
I don't think segregation is the solution to an equity problem.
The one-page resolution says, quote, to maintain fair and equitable competition, participation in the girls category is limited to students whose biological sex is female. Only 2 board members spoke about the issue. One of them referenced President Trump's executive order banning transgender athletes from participating in women's sports.
A lot of us may disagree with the executive order, but us as school board members were caught between a rock and a hard place.
Ultimately, Jill Adams abstained from voting. Board President Melissa Beard opposed the policy.
Transgender students are a part of our district, and I'm concerned that this resolution communicates that we do not see these students as an equal part of our community.
In the end, the ban was passed by a vote of 3-1.
Motion carries.
The decision led to a protest. Eventually, the call was made to end the meeting. It's unclear how this would impact opposing players in games played at Tumwater. By the way, an online petition has already popped up pushing for the recall of the board members who voted yes. In Tumwater, Jim Nelson, King 5 News.
All right, turning now to weather. Our taste of spring continued this afternoon. We saw a lot of sun and blue skies out there. A nice departure from the storms we saw earlier in the week. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri is alongside with us tonight. Joe, how are we looking heading into the evening tonight?
We'll see some small changes move here in the next few hours, but I love this time of year. You know, early March, you get a chance to see temperatures close to 70 degrees. And again, we saw that a couple of days ago with the record-breaking temperatures on Thursday. 70 degrees, came close to 70 yesterday, and not far from it earlier this afternoon with a high of 67 or 66. The record was 67. Right now, we're looking at a temperature of 62 degrees, mix of some clouds with some kind of more filtered sunshine out there. Across the board, we're basically looking at temperatures in the upper 50s to the low 60s. Over in Troutdale, a temperature of 61 degrees at this hour. And along the Oregon coastline from Astoria all the way down to North Bend, temperatures are right around 52 degrees. But this is a weak system that's moving on shore tonight. Going to bring in some spotty showers basically when we start our day tomorrow morning. For the most part, it's going to be all over with heading into the later part of the morning and into the afternoon with mainly dry conditions for your Sunday afternoon. Here's a look at that system moving in really after midnight, bringing in some showers throughout the central and southern part of the Willamette Valley. As that counterclockwise rotation kind of swings up north, we'll start to see those showers right around sunrise tomorrow. And speaking of sunrise and sunsets, come Monday, John, it'll be our first 6 o'clock sunset of the year. It gets even better heading into next week. I'll talk more about that in a few minutes.
All right, Joe, thank you so much. Well, new tonight, one person is dead and another in the hospital with critical injuries after they were hit by a car early this morning. It happened around 2 near the intersection of Silverton Road Northeast and Highway Avenue. Both pedestrians were taken to the hospital. 77-year-old Raymond Dale died of his injuries. The driver stayed at the scene and was interviewed by police. The crash is under investigation. In Lincoln County, one person died and 2 others were hospitalized after a 3-car crash Friday evening. It happened before 5:30 on Highway 18 near milepost 9. That's about 3 miles east of Rose Lodge. At this point, Oregon State Police believe a Dodge Ram crossed into the opposing lane and sideswiped a Toyota RAV4. The Ram then hit a Chevy Suburban head-on. The Ram driver, 64-year-old Mark Sutherland of Portland, was pronounced dead at the scene. The Chevy driver was life-flighted with serious injuries. The crash impacted the highway for nearly 7 hours. Back in the Portland Metro, the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office and its major crimes team are investigating a death in Troutdale. It's after a man's body was found on top of shopping carts in the parking lot of Home Depot on Southeast Stark around 5 this morning. The sheriff's office says they're working to identify the body and how they died. And in Vancouver, the Clark County Fire Marshal's office is investigating after a building fire yesterday evening. It happened before 6:45 on Northeast 18th near the Harmony Ridge neighborhood. It took crews a little less than an hour to get the fire under control. No one was hurt. New here at 5, a local teen going above and beyond to give back to her community. 14-year-old Evie Evans hosted a blood drive this morning at All Saints School as part of a school service project. Today, they had nearly 50 people signed up to donate. She said this isn't the typical student project, but it served as a great learning experience.
It's a lot harder than you would imagine. You have to call people. It takes a lot of work, but the end result is very worth it because you get to see what a community can pull together.
This blood drive was also done in honor of Evie's grandmother who died of pancreatic cancer. Her life was extended thanks to blood transfusions.